and welcome to Monmouth in Focus, a program about the services and functions of Monmouth County government. I'm Commissioner Director Tom Arnone. Today we are joined by Monmouth County Clerk Christine Hanlon, my co-chair for the Monmouth 250. Hello, Christine. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
So we have a lot of, information that we'd be able to give to the public there. And but let's first of all, what is Monmouth 250?
Well, Monmouth 250 is the sort of official entity that will be in charge of Monmouth County's commemoration and celebration of America's birthday, America's 250th birthday, which is coming in 2026.
That's what I was just going to ask you, so everybody knows when that is coming. And you and I co-chair this committee here, and we have a lot of great assistance with a lot of people out there. And I would have to say our tentacles are out there throughout Monmouth County, but we're a little bit particularly unique on the way we have focused it and put it out there and assembled everyone. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. We definitely are unique in the state of New Jersey. We started our planning last year. As you know, the commissioners passed a resolution forming this committee, and we just hit the ground running. One of the first things we did was to hire an executive director, Ted Maturo. And a really big part of what we're doing is to engage every single one of our 53 municipalities because, as you know, we're a big county, we're a diverse county, and we want everyone to be involved in this celebration that's going to take place.
So you and I have taken a tour, I guess you could say, and we have a lot more to go there, but we've made such great strides. And maybe you could share with the public, the response from what the local officials, how they feel about what we've done and started.
Yes, they are so excited. We've gotten a great reaction as we travel around the county to the different municipalities. We've actually hit most of our municipalities either through our municipal summit that we had or through visiting specific municipalities. And we will continue to be visiting our towns at the council meetings and the committee meetings over the next couple of months to get them ready. But everyone seems to be so excited and ready and willing to join in the celebration.
So obviously in today's world, the biggest thing is marketing yourself. And we've done some great things with our websites and those effects, but we're also giving material out to the public and going to start to spread our awareness there. And, and I know that you and I both at every location we're at speak about getting to our seniors and getting to our children. And we did something, and the historical component side of it. Didn't we? Maybe you want to share about the event we had at Hominy Hill?
Yes, so one of the most important things that we're doing is to be highlighting Monmouth County's history because Monmouth County played a big role in the Revolutionary War. And we want to highlight that history, but also the important history that has occurred over the past 250 years. So engaging our historical organizations is also a big part of it. And we had a big meeting with our historical. We had a great turnout, and we are working to engage all of those people. But as you said, it's really important in terms of our marketing and branding to get the word out because we want just the general public to be excited and involved in what we're doing. And the county's public information department, along with Ted Maturo, our executive director, we've been working on figuring out ways to reach everyone. And one of those ways is our branding, our logo, the Monmouth 250 logo that we developed, our rack cards that we are putting out at the libraries and festivals and fairs, and of course, to reach the youth, we have our beautiful coloring book that was created by our public information department, as you know, on that one. It's beautiful, and it is a way to engage our youth. We are doing lots of promotions in different magazines, and this is the New Jersey Municipalities magazines where we talk about what we're doing here in Monmouth. Here's our first T-shirt. Hot off the presses that I would like to give you. Our Monmouth NJ 250 T-shirt that our volunteers will be wearing at the fairs and festivals as we work to get the word out.
That's great. So we have really hit the ground running, and I know that you are extremely passionate about this. Your staff is. I want to thank our public information for everybody engaging because it's truly a team effort. But we also are counting on many different types of one-time events.
Yes.
That there. So maybe you want to talk about, you and I have brainstormed along with the rest of the committee about some one-time events there, and maybe you want to touch a little on those.
Yes, we're looking at doing some great one-time events in addition to all of the educational things that we're doing and contests and all of that stuff to lead up to the semi-quincentennial. We're looking at doing a big gala, a parade, fireworks, hopefully a run, just to get people involved, and many other one-time events that will be sort of in that July of 2026 time period. But leading up to that, we're also working on many different things to generate awareness, get people involved. It's so important for people to go to our website, monmouthNJ250.org. And also follow us on social media, because that's how you could see all of the things that are happening. One of the really awesome things we did was our 250 truck.
Yes.
Which will be going. It's a big truck that's
Sheriff
wrapped
Golden
with
did
information.
a great job on that. Yes.
Yep, and our sheriff helped us with that. And that's going to be at La Fairs Festival, is generating awareness, showing people how they can get involved and learn about our history, volunteer, be a part of the celebration. It's going to be great. We're so excited this is coming.
So this is great. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being co-chair with me. And
it's my honor.
And we're going to be doing some great things. We're going to. It's going to be extremely exciting over the period of time. And when all these little events start up, I'm really looking forward to it. And I know you are as excited to look forward to it. But the good thing about it is it's going to be a partnership. It's going to be just one big happy celebration here in Monmouth County, and all 53 towns are going to be part of it. All of our organizations, from our arts, from our historical, from our parks, all those areas are going to be part of this big celebration. So this is only the start of us giving you the information here on our Monmouth in Focus segment, but I am sure, I can guarantee that our County Clerk, Christine Hanlon, will be back to tell you about some of the great events that we have actually scheduled and the timelines they are. So this is Commissioner Director Tom Arnone. This is all we have for this segment of Monmouth in Focus. See you next time.
John Burroughs Sr. was a successful merchant who was known as the Corn King and supplied the troops during the American Revolution. His son, John Burroughs Jr., became a captain in the American Revolutionary War. He helped muster or train volunteers to become troops ready to join George Washington. They did that training right here on the property of Burroughs Mansion. So they were really kind of the thorn in the side of the Loyalists. And so they decided to come and raid this house. Luckily, he was given a heads up, and he was able to escape by jumping through the back window here in the house. Margaret Burroughs stood here when the British came in and raided the house in search of her husband, John Burroughs Jr. But he had escaped already out the back, and she was seriously injured when one of the soldiers hit her with the end of his sword when she was refusing to give her shawl up to an injured soldier.
While the Four Corners today is kind of the crossroads in Shrewsbury Borough itself, when you actually stop at the lights and you look to the right or to the left, you will see a time period of our nation frozen. These are vestiges of our founding as a nation. The revolution was fought at the footstep of this intersection. You have the Allen House, Christ Church, Presbyterian Church, Quaker Meeting House. Most of these structures predate the founding of our nation. The Four Corners is actually the crossroads of Monmouth County. The history dates back to the Lenape Indians, who used that as a thoroughfare between the Navesink River and the Atlantic Ocean. The Allen House massacre occurred when the Allen House actually was known as the Blue Ball Tavern. And at that time, we had a number of patriots who were stationed at the Allen House, and a number of loyalists snuck upon them under the cover of darkness and ambushed them. And during that raid, 3 patriots were murdered and 9 were captured. The history is alive, it's vibrant. You can actually physically go into these structures. You can hear the stories. That helps us as a nation learn more about our past so we can be better in the future.
As history shows, from the Revolutionary War to today's devastating events, Monmouth County has risen to the challenges that we have seen, from Sandy, 9/11, and of course the pandemic. Not only has Monmouth County showed resiliency, but it's also shown strength and leadership through that period of time, which really ties into the Revolutionary War of leaders that we had at that period in that era. And ironically, fast forward 250 years later, and we're here as leaders now of this great county that we're in, and you see the resiliency and the strength, obviously a little different than fighting physical wars. At the end of the day, it's all victories, and we overcame them.
History connects us to the past, and in so doing, it really tells us how we got to the present, and more importantly, where we're going in the future. What I love about historical preservation in Monmouth County is that there are many different ways to connect in a tangible way to our past. Whether it's visiting the Battle of Monmouth site, where you can stand on the ground where one of the most pivotal battles of the Revolutionary War was fought. Longstreet Farm, which is one of the crown jewels of our county park system, is a living history museum basically for the way life was in the late 19th century. People who are growing up today have really very little knowledge of the way life was just simply half a century or a century ago. That history is lost if we don't preserve it. So through activities like our Monmouth County Fair, through our Monmouth County Park System, we're able to bring that history alive, learning not only about how people lived in the past, but how it connects us to the future.
It's always been rumored and throughout history that the inspiration for Uncle Sam, I Want You, came from Dan Rice. Dan Rice was the most famous man you never heard of. He was a clown in the mid-1800s. He was controversial. You know, he talked a lot about sex and politics and things that really were taboo at the time. He actually ran for the Pennsylvania Senate in 1864. And then he ran for the presidency of the United States 4 years later in 1868. Obviously, he didn't win either one of those. He was born in New York City, but he spent a lot of time in the city of Long Branch, and he was buried in the Old First Cemetery in West Long Branch. He had a great impact on the theater, a great impact on entertainment, and a huge impact on American politics. He's a man that really should be remembered in American history.
The 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States of America is coming in 2026.
In Monmouth County, we celebrate not only the birth of the greatest nation in the world, but the significant role our county has played in the fight for independence.
Monmouth County was truly a battleground in the cause of freedom, and when the war had been won, the people of Monmouth County gradually transitioned over to the peaceful pursuits of agriculture, commerce, and industry.
In the almost 250 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence, Monmouth County has grown and flourished to be the ideal place to live, work, and play. Join us as we look back on the people, places, and events that have carved Monmouth County's history over the past 250 years. And as we plan our celebrations of the birth of the greatest nation on earth.
250 is coming, and Monmouth County will be ready. The 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States of America is coming in 2026. America's semi-quincentennial will be celebrated all across our nation, our state, our county, and our communities.
In Monmouth County, we celebrate not only the birth of the greatest nation in the world, but the significant role our county has played in the fight for independence.
New Jersey is known as the crossroads of the American Revolution, and Monmouth County has a rich history integral to the fight for our nation's independence. The Battle of Monmouth was pivotal in the American Revolution. It was the biggest and longest one-day battle of the Revolutionary War, with General George Washington leading the Continental Army in the attack on the British. But Monmouth County's Revolutionary War story is much more than that.
It's the stories of families and loyalties divided and individuals from different backgrounds attempting to navigate uncertain times. It's the story of the strife and skirmish over many years of the Revolution that pitted neighbors against neighbors, friends against friends. Those loyal to the crown organized and fought against freedom for the colonies more than in any other county in New Jersey.
At the time, Governor William Livingston called Monmouth a theater of spoil and destruction. Monmouth County was truly a battleground in the cause of freedom, and when the war had been won, the people of Monmouth County gradually transitioned over to the peaceful pursuits of agriculture, commerce, and industry.
In the almost 250 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence, Monmouth County has grown and flourished to be the ideal place to live, work, and play. Monmouth County has everything. The most expansive parks and open space, our breathtaking shoreline, our beautiful towns and bustling cities, fertile acres of cultivated farmland, innovative industry and business.
Our county has grown to be the 5th most populous in the state, with over 600,000 residents. I truly believe it's the best county in the state of New Jersey. And our people have made their mark on our national landscape. Accomplished entertainers, poets, and writers, innovative inventors, government leaders, renowned judges, famous athletes, war heroes, entrepreneurs, activists, and so many more. 2026 may seem like a long way off, but we are excited to embark on the journey toward this momentous event.
Join us as we look back on the people, places, and events that have carved Monmouth County's history over the past 250 years. And as we plan our celebrations of the birth of the greatest nation on earth, 250 is coming and Monmouth County will be ready.
Visitors have shown us why it's important to honor history in Monmouth County, because they came in droves to historic Portland Place, the ancestral home of the Hartshorn family. You may recognize the name Hartshorn because Hartshorn Park is one of the park system's most popular, highly visited parks in the Highlands and Middletown region. But it was once the farmland and then summer home of the Hartshorn family. Richard Hartshorn was one of the earliest settlers in the region. He owned 2,500 acres, including Sandy Hook. Of course, they were not the first settlers in Monmouth County region. The Lenape Indians were here, and Richard Hartshorn would repurchase property that he already had purchased through the patent system. He would repurchase from the Lenape. It was sometimes fair and sometimes not. Visitors, they say, I never knew. And now that they know a little bit of the region's history, they like being part of that. And I think there's some sort of connection that happens in their brains or in their souls that triggers a lovely connection from the past to the present.
I'm sitting here in the Hall of Records, which is located at 1 East Main Street in Freehold. This is a historic location in Monmouth County. On August 26, 1714, John Reed, an early settler of the area, sold land to the Board of County Commissioners to build the first courthouse for a mere 30 shillings. On June 6, 1774, angry colonists gathered here to denounce the British tyranny. Walking by this beautiful building today, you can just imagine the protesters so angry over British tyranny. 4 years later, it was used as a hospital for the wounded soldiers, British and American, following the Battle of Monmouth.
Hello and welcome to Monmouth in Focus, a program about the services and functions of Monmouth County government. My name is Sue Kiley, and I am the Monmouth County Commissioner who liaisons to the Division of Aging, Disabilities, and Veterans. The division works very hard to make sure that veterans across our county know about the resources that are available to them and can share their remarkable stories of service and sacrifice. Today, I am honored to be joined by David Drummond, who is one of those heroes, who's going to tell us a little bit about his story.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. I'd first like to say thank you very much for your efforts on behalf of veterans and veteran services in the county. I really appreciate it, and I've been present when you have attended a number of functions for veterans, so thank you very much.
It's my honor to be there.
Right. I'm a resident of New Jersey, a longtime resident of New Jersey, and I've been in Monmouth County actually since 1977. I grew up in New Jersey. I was educated at Newark College of Engineering. I have a mechanical engineering degree and entered ROTC, and that's how I entered the service.
And you were in the Vietnam War as an Air Force pilot and were shot down from a B-52, if I have this correct, 35,000 feet, which seems incredible that you survived it. But can you tell us a little bit about that story?
Right. The time frame that we're talking about was when President Nixon had ordered bombing to bring the North Vietnamese back to the peace table. So I was part of that effort. During the bombing attacks, 100 B-52s were sent against the cities of Haiphong and Hanoi. I was assigned on this particular night to attack a power plant and rail yards in the Hanoi area. On the way in, we were struck by 2 surface-to-air missiles, which damaged much of the aircraft. The first one set the wing on fire on the left side and knocked out 3 of our 8 engines. And then the second missile struck behind me, which injured most of the rest of the crew and knocked out all of the electrical and communication aspects of the aircraft. We did have some control over the aircraft, but the aircraft commander realized that the left engine fire had turned into a wing fire, and that as soon as the wing broke off, we'd probably all perish with the airplane. So he ordered everyone to bail out of the airplane, which meant that most of the crew would be ejecting using ejection seats. I was the co-pilot, and I ejected out of the aircraft. Now, I was in a situation similar to what we are in the studio, you know, ambient temperature, normal pressure. So when I was ejected outside, we were traveling at 500 miles an hour, so the first thing was hit was a 500-mile-an-hour wind. Then the pressure went from normal pressure here to 35,000 feet, which is very low pressure. And the temperature outside was minus 65 below zero. So once I ejected out of the airplane and was subjected to those conditions, I also had lost my helmet, which we had talked about a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
But I was luckily able to maintain my oxygen mask and held that to my face. And as I separated from the seat, I fell head down from 35,000 to 14,000 feet. And at that point, the automatic systems on the parachute operated, and the parachute automatically operated. So at 14,000 feet, I'm floating down over the North Vietnamese countryside with cloud deck below, anti-aircraft fire going all over, airplanes flying all over the place, bombs being dropped, missiles being fired. So it was a dramatic change of circumstances, to say the least. And I was preparing, part of the training was how you would fall, you know, when you landed, so you didn't injure yourself. Well, it so happens that there was fog all the way to the ground, so I just hit the ground like a sack of potatoes. Luckily, I wasn't injured.
David, I'd like to hear about 50 years later when you went back over to Vietnam. Can you tell us a few things about that?
Yes, that was a rather emotional event, as you might imagine. I had heard about the trip, and I had a couple of friends who were on the trip who had suggested that I go along. I was somewhat reluctant at first. I wasn't sure how I would feel and how I would, face the situation. My wife encouraged me to do so, and I'm very happy that I did. I traveled there with 7 other prisoners of war, 2 of which were long-term prisoners, one for 7 and one for 5 years at the Hanoi Hilton. The trip started in Saigon in the south, and we boarded a boat, a river cruise up the Mekong River toward Cambodia. We traveled all the way up through Cambodia, saw the killing fields, and then when we reached Phnom Penh, we flew north to Hanoi. And at Hanoi, we visited their museums, with their representation of what had happened on that evening. And eventually we wound up at the prison, the Hanoi prison. Now, most of the prison had been torn down because, as you might imagine, the property is extremely valuable at the present time. When we went in, the entranceway was exactly the same. So when I was unceremoniously unloaded off the truck, the hallway and the entrance were just exactly the same, which sort of was quite creepy, to say the least.
Yeah, I bet.
And then as we went in farther into the museum, they had prison cells that were, I actually didn't find my own prison cell because that part of the prison had been torn down, but I visited a prison cell that was almost exactly like my own. And again, walking into it was very, very disturbing.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
What was it like coming back as a Vietnam veteran?
Well, I returned to the United States in 2 different ways. First, I had come back. I had already served 1 tour in Vietnam and had come back and had gone straight to an air base. So I didn't mix much with the general population. A lot of my comrades received a very poor reception, as has been noted. And then when I returned as a prisoner of war, the reception was much better. The population greeted us with joy in that we had returned.
David, I wish that we could talk for another hour because I would listen to your fascinating story. Yeah. But unfortunately, that's all the time we have today.
Yes.
So thank you everyone for joining us, and we will be back again and hear another story next time.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.